Yeah, I say this is another one. I'm sure I had no idea where I was going when I started this one. The Passerby, which was the theme poem for the collection In a Rare Time of Rain, which is a bit of this. The Passerby. He came to a valley where the choughs built nests, in the churches of failed God, in a rare time of rain, and stopped to smell the flowers that shivered like a perfumed sea, rippling their pink and saffron blooms, their velvet lips open to the sun dance of bees. If there'd been any time to spare between his coming and his going from this place, he would have stayed, even gone back to fetch the one with auburn hair. 4 white stallions cantered across a plain so flat the wind could get no purchase, blew wild with rage, blew sound so far and fast, the drumming of the hooves was never heard, the neighing lost, even to the 3rd generation. The riders in their sable cloaks drew tight their lips, and clutched their voices in their cheeks, rowelled the steeds' flanks with crimson spurs. I'm going to read one out of here that is one of... Oh, I tell you what I will read. A log of the sea too. But first I'll read this one because one I kind of like. Maybe it's because it's sentimental, which we're not supposed to like, are we? You know, I think it'll be here somewhere. Oh. Oh, this is one interesting. I'll read this one as well. Yeah, they're both together. All change. I took off my hat to the station master. He responded, "The slow engine of pale days is scarcely heard. There's little of significance, but there are cracks in the plain timbering. There the light is fiercer, the eye drawn like a bee. Green hills wash into greener seas, the clock replaced, and there are many meetings, much smoke and brandy, fresh christened sheets, and all those voices, faces, slow and piteous ships, rough lodgings. Lost eyes are met again, become as content, warm as bedroom slippers, and those who died behind your back make their apologies." And the other one is The Watchman. All the sky was cold marble. Slivers fell into the streets with the sound of amazed daggers. And in his room he looked down and noticed how the veins on the back of his hands stood out, the dryness of the skin. But he felt young because it was a time of dancing. He began to sway to the music of the cold and the grey light, held in his arms the soft flesh of his remembering, breathed in the scent of talc and fresh washed hair, and the perfume that is left on the wind by songs of gypsies. And the same night, in the warehouse when the moon dropped through the skylights, when the long hours stretched and the cats sampled the rough sacking with curved claws, he danced again, with feet so light the dust slept on the concrete, danced to the winged laughter of moths. If I read the Exceed, that takes back again to the adventure bit, because when I started this again, I had to, it isn't an actual voyage. It is, in fact, a composite of several voyages. and so as I wrote it, I invented the voyage. So, and this again is done without punctuation except in the excerpts from the log. And again, it was a very early poem. Sloop Exceed, Nassau towards Hamilton. Oh, I should have given the title first. The log of the sloop Exceed. Sloop Exceed, Nassau towards Hamilton. Weighed anchor 2300 hours. Wind light e northeast. Sea calm with easterly swell. Riding the dark tide. Out of moon shadow, palm shadow. Out from the thrust of music. Light, love laughter. Rising to the long rhythm. Laying a finger on the pole star's eye. Breathing the body scent of time. Stealing beyond the walls. Into the history of stone. Into the labor of Eve. Exceed. Nassau towards Hamilton. Hole in the wall light bearing due west. Day clean. The lighthouse blinded by sun that boils pitch that seals carapace adrift. No bloody wind at all. We roll and drift and roll. The great boom crashing across an iron sky. Hull wallowing in wash and suck of brine. Dead in the water. Dead to this ocean, motionless. Log line plummets into deep blue. Killers eating predators. Voiceless carnage. Shadowed by wheeling frigate birds that mock fallow wings. One day out of Nassau towards Hamilton, 2200 hours, wind light easterly, sea calm. Night in silver sheen, soft whisperings between hard covers. Sea, night, sky, moon, fire of burning wake, language of sight, sound, smell, redolence of tar, salt touch, wind sough, creaking and squeal of blocks, rush of wings, voices of wood and water in an ancient tongue that speaks from mountain tops and fens to the silver night and the great ocean singing. 2 days out of Nassau towards Hamilton, wind none are east, fresh. Luff up, helm a lee, lay her down hard on the other tack. Lay the grinding coral teeth astern, sink the land deep. Drive a wedge of pine, canvas, hemp, and iron into the blue plains, into the pastures of the manatee, range of swordfish, roost of albatross, where the great wheel of sun and stars has no impediment, and the wind blows true out of the gates of morning. 3 days out of Nassau towards Hamilton, wind fresh easterly. Last land buried in the wake, the bird a wing, scuppers awash, cutwater slicing the peel off soft fruit out of sounding. There are mountains here, silent, all hidden in the muffled shout and weight of water, towering volcanoes, giant squid, crushed vessels, skeletons of fish and fishermen. No whistling in these canyons, only songs of whales. And where they breach we drive spray back against a braggart wind, close hauled and clawing northwards for the Bermudas. 4 days out of Nassau towards Hamilton, glass low and still falling. There's a devil's somewhere back of this wind, and the blood in the sky, and the curl of the long sea wraps fear tight round the belly, and the waiting for the devil back of this wind, this sky. 5 days out of Nassau towards Hamilton. Wind force 12, hurricane, lying a hull. On the bare poles the boat leaps, staggers to the whip crack of this terror that is not wind, water, sky, sound, but all his furies wound about the storm's eye, sweeping through space over a stripped course, plunging in the race, wind, war, water, smoke, green avalanche. A hand has braked the spinning world, its elements flying to infinity. We have no hand in this, no hope, only madness. Fear breaks wild, laughter spills into the shrieking, into the roaring of a universe. Strained timbers shudder to that anguish, this unbelief. 6 days out of Nassau towards Hamilton. Wind light southerly, sea moderating. Water is back to water, sky to sky. Deep blue has found its coolness, sacred light. A sullen sea slides under a rack, under a petrel's wing, washes over an old-grown turtle in new-found sun. Abram leans against the mast. George squats at the helm. The sloop lifts anxiously towards what lies beyond the hard line, towards long journeying, until we search darkness for the lighthouse loom. Welcome, warning, and all those other lights fixed in memory along the wayfaring. Snake's eyes where the hummingbirds suck sweetness, raven's nest. Don't let her broach, George. Sailor, wing and wing. Follow the dark fin of the albacore.